Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Cool, awesome. Here we are. Here we go. So we don't need to see the map anymore, right? We had already said that. Yeah, I suppose we can look at it for another moment, just in case we need to talk about anything, any plans or whatever. So, the item that was created by your temple, just so you know, and it belongs to the temple itself. They have to create a scroll of Lay of the Land. And the reason why the priest had told you they created the scroll of Lay of the Lands, the reason why they thought that was pertinent, is because they were saying that when because war is upon us, you're going to need to be able to choose your battlefield and choose it wisely by properly reading the scroll. When the scroll is used by whoever it is that happens to own it or have control of it at the time, they would be able to instantly survey in a huge chunk of land and find the best spot to pick for a battlefield or whatever. So that's the scroll that they had decided upon to create. Funny enough, I don't actually they didn't actually decide. It's randomly generated, but that's fine. That doesn't matter. Moving on. So with the actual party, what you guys are doing is what you guys are doing. You had heard about new merchants coming into town and increasing your economy. You had heard about all these wonderful things. I imagine this is the small amount of time you want to spend inside of your kingdom. But is there anything specific you want to jump on and do with your characters, or is it kind of like let narrative take over from here?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you guys are making your way down to look at the kingdom, and perhaps even after even discussing with one another what's going on, and we're going to get to a meeting with your other leaders in a bit. When you guys are making your way down to check out the marketplace, it's like, oh, hey, Rayron, did you know that the marketplace is actually doing well? Did you hear about the incredible, treasure hoard that we had gotten in? And when taxes kind of go, oh, wow, that's wonderful. And you guys go to get kind of survey things, keeping a closer eye on the kingdom, since you know that you're kind of hurting at the moment with Valorant missing and trying to keep everything's fine, guys. Everything's fine. It's fine. Yeah. So with that being said, you guys are heading down and checking out the marketplace yourselves. In heading down to check out the marketplace, one of the things that you notice is that there are more people, in fact, selling there, because this isn't a proper marketplace, right?
Marketplace.
Exactly. This isn't a proper marketplace. So when you guys are going down to kind of investigate things, see how things are playing out, blah, 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 you see that people are kind of just sprawled out here, over near where the new smithy is almost done being built. You can see that everybody's just kind of making do with where they can for where it is that they can make their trades. But the group that kind of catches your eye, and there's one particular group that does do so, catches your eye, is a small group of very well dressed, very well clothed people. All seem to have the same exact cloak, same exact colored clothing and whatnot on, that are just selling goods. On further investigation, see kind of what goods that they're selling. You can see that they actually have well-crafted whetstones. You can see that they have a good amount of fish, because you guys don't have really access to a lot of fish. You have a river way over there, but still don't even have a fishery put up in place. So they transport a good number of fish, a lot of fish that's here. As a matter of fact, they're coming in huge barrels of fish that have large buckets of ice, but maybe even magically created ice. You'd have to kind of guess, because where else are they getting ice? It's wintertime. To transport them here, but even them themselves kind of bringing in and trading these fish for whatever goods that you guys have, kind of keeping you going through the winter. That was one particular person amongst them that stands out. It's actually a half-orc that's kind of walking around and being like, look at these fish. Sorry, not a half-orc, sorry, my apologies, a hobgoblin. That's walking around look at all the fish that fit inside these barrels. These barrels are great. I craft the greatest barrels you'll ever see, from all the way east to all the way west, from all the way north to maybe not down south, but don't worry about down there. I craft the greatest barrels in almost all the land. And kind of bragging about that. But the merchants there themselves, kind of they must have some sort of deal with this person, because he's traveling with them and selling the barrels to them. But they themselves kind of keep to themselves and kind of chuckle along. And get along well enough with the other traders. I imagine you guys choose to go and engage a little bit with the merchants that's going along. What I really want to have happen is, one, I need you to make me a perception check. So, you don't notice anything out of the ordinary from any of the people that are here. So, is there anything specific that you'd want to choose to engage them with? Or do you guys like, because you're welcome to just kind of like jump in and RP with them, or maybe you choose to like hang back and just like watch the marketplace? What's your approach to the scenario?
Rayron would be interested where the fish come from.
Sure.
Because, like, if they're transported from the sea, that's an awful long way to keep them fresh with ice. Like, you need to salt them.
Sure. So, would you go and engage the people directly?
He'd browse some of the fish, inspect whether they're very fresh. If they are, sunken eyes, that sort of thing. Whether they're all horrible looking, whether there's a fishy smell.
What?
And then, like, after perusing for a little while, he'd comment on, like, how do you manage to get the fish here so fresh?
Why don't you roll me a survival to see how fresh it is? It's a very simple DC.
Oh. Just clicked off roll 20. 1 second.
I feel like you do that a lot by accident. Is
I
it the
don't.
setup, or
I've done it twice.
or is it that roll 20? No, I mean like consistently week by week. Or is it that roll 20 freezes on you a lot?
No, this is like the only time I've done it ever.
Oh, I thought I always see your name flash at the bottom of the screen.
No.
Huh.
You just love me.
Somebody's name does.
It's fine.
So looking at the fish, you can tell actually it is holding very, very, very fresh. There's no question in your mind about that. So then you go to engage. How is it that you keep it this fresh sort of a thing? Where is it you transport it from? Correct?
Yeah, so it's like these are exceptionally fresh fish. Where is it they come from?
So the merchant that you deal with happens to be a woman that's there and kind of like heading up this part of the market for the things that they're selling. Again, the goblin, the hobgoblin guy is like a little bit off to the side. So being loud and obnoxious, or whatever. But so when you go up to her, approach her, and kind of like inspecting them and ask her, she looks at you dead on and says, "My apologies. Do you happen to be one of the rulers of this land?"
Um,
Kind of like giving you that look, like recognition.
Rayon's like got like, I guess his badge of office, which would be like a quill, like on his lapel or whatever, and he's like, I'm not entirely sure how that pertains to the freshness of fish, but yes.
Then I just wanted to say it's an honor to meet you. I believe you go by the title of Chosen?
Yes, you can call me Chosen or Rayron.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Chosen. The fish, they're incredibly fresh. They don't travel terribly far. Only... hold on. About 60 miles. So she says they travel less than 100 miles to get here, which sounds like a lot.
Less.
But truth be told, we have used the roads similar enough for a long time, and we know where it's safe, when to push the horses, and when to move slowly. And we have a pretty good job of maintaining as much ice as possible throughout even the summertime. So it helps to maintain the freshness as they're being transported.
Less than 100 miles? Do they come from one of the lakes then?
It is. These are lake fish. These are freshwater fish.
South or northwest?
My apologies, Chosen. You trying to discern where it is that my home is?
Rather, the location of the fish. I didn't realize we had such a bounteous location.
Well, the lake itself happens to fall within the realm of my of the city that I come from, a city by the name of Vigil, and yes, to the south.
Less than 100 miles? Vigil?
I'm surprised you haven't heard of us.
According to my map, that's just not possible. It's like 80 miles to the edge of Idir from our location. But I suppose perhaps I've got an outdated map because you did. Well, it's not working. It's just got Maybe. That doesn't matter anyway. Vigil.
Mm-hmm.
South, so it's from Peridel.
It is my no. It's not Paradise. No, not at all. Please. And not to be confused with Paradol at all. It's not that far south. It's north of Harrod.
I see. You're a small fishing village then.
We do predominantly trade with fish, absolutely. Especially lately with what's going on in the rivers.
What's that's been going on?
I'm sorry, you haven't heard.
My duties usually keep me far away from the usual tranquility of the rivers.
Usually, the trading of information is something of value, and we would not do so freely because it is part of the market. However, in speaking to such an esteemed noble, I would of course would offer my information freely to you, if for any reason but a sign of peace between my homeland and yours. And please understand, I am no diplomat or anybody that is in any station to speak for my people, but just someone that has respect for your kingdom.
Please do not worry. I'm here browsing your fish.
She says thank you and kind of like, places a hand over her chest and does a bit of a bow, which roll a simple history check for me.
Let me have a look.
And one, you can actually roll that as well because you're watching the interaction.
I've got a history skill, but no.
Yeah, I would have walked up with him, but I'm not talking to her, so.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. You can roll a history check. You both would identify that as being something that's fairly common in the Perrin military. So, like a bow would be like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, something that that the general did not do beforehand, knowing poignantly that he's not stealing with Perrin military, but something that she's of course just did to you. So it's associated with the Peridot military. But moving on. She says, my apologies. She bows and then says, then allow me to... Sorry, I'm trying to remember the exact question you just asked. I'm so sorry, Neil.
What's going on in the rivers?
In Hodgwen, or at least all the rivers around Hodgwen, there is a substance that has appeared. It's thick, kind of like a film, about as viscous as if you were to tap a maple tree. It covers the top of the river and down a considerable amount, seeming to float on top. It's not good for the people there. The fish are dying. The fish around where it is and downstream from where it travels. The water is not safe to drink, so Hodgwen has been forced to expand its reaches to get fresh water, or at least that's the excuse that they're using. I don't mean to question the wisdom of those that rule over my home, but we've been fishing very, very heavily from our lake to try to fulfill their trade and needs in Hodgwen. But we don't want to, of course, pass up the opportunity of aiding other towns nearby, which is why we've come to your quaint town of Kurzfall.
I see. Well, from both me and all the people here, thank you for continuing to supply us with a fresh and tasty fish. And thank you for supplying me with this interesting information.
Absolutely, of course. I hope that our my home and yours are able to build lasting relationship. Trade is always good, especially when winter is upon us and, well, dangers are growing.
Trade is always good. So is food. Now, what might you recommend for my dinner?
She will laugh and she'll do like the same thing and bow like out of appreciation. When that happens, why don't you both of you roll me a perception check?
She picks the like visibly green fish that's like rotten. She's like, this one will be perfect.
Strands gooping off. Raven doesn't
purple.
notice while she's like kind of like chuckling a little bit and bowing. But one, you happen to catch a glimpse of underneath like her cloak, because she was wearing, because it's wintertime, she's wearing a cloak. Her cloak opens up a little bit and you can see that openly worn over her clothing but under her cloak is the symbol of Lady Aravel that sits there as she does like the bow and whatnot. And you catch sight of it right there.
Aha.
Firstly, one leans to Raven and says, "Would you mind seeing if you can see the presence of magic among these fish?" More or less asking you to detect magic.
He understands. These are fish. One.
He looks at the woman and he says, "You paramilitary?"
My apologies. This is the second time you guys have she says, this is the second time I believe you are another one of the chosen. The leadership here has confused me with being Perrin. Now, while it is true that I am Perrin of lineage, I am not Perrin of descent, at least not immediate descent.
Well, meaning she wasn't born there?
Yeah. She means like she's not from Paradel, but perhaps her parents or grandparents or great-grandparents were.
Look, there's going to be a lot of sense motives coming because I got a couple of questions, so I'm just going to roll sense motive on that.
Answer me!
Hey, it's close.
Raven open his book, flick through it to a page. You hear him quietly mutter something, and then this. Well, actually, nothing happens.
So
to you.
She mutters something. You mutter something. You cast your spell, and she watches you casting the spell, and you start surveying her, the area, kind of like focusing all around you, seeing if there's any magical auras, whatever. And you don't find many magical auras amongst the people. You do find that one person, not her, amongst a group of them, and there's a group of 9 traders that came here, bringing with them their supplies and whatnot, does have a presence of a magical item on them. When you focus on it, and this takes time. It takes 18 seconds even to be able to read auras, plus the fact that you're looking in different areas, Neil. So for when we get there, roll me a knowledge arcana check, please. But we're not there quite yet.
Nice.
So immediately you detect the presence of magic, but we're going to let that go for now. So one, you lean over, you say that, and he starts like kind of like looking about. He doesn't detect the presence of magic quite just yet. It's going to be when he turns. So he probably starts looking and then shakes his head, but starts focusing. One, what do you say as you go investigator mode?
So when she says that, I'd say, "I'm sorry, you are you a member of the paramilitary?"
Oh, sure. Her response is,
you...
she said this is the second time that I've been confused with that. Even though I'm Perrin of lineage, meaning she's the race Perrin. I'm not Perrin of descent, at least not immediate descent, meaning I'm not from that nation.
So she's saying she's not part of the military then?
Correct.
Alright, well, I'm going to sense motive on her.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you sense motive. She's 100. You believe she's being earnest.
Okay. Now,
actually, I would even go so far as to say, you believe she looks a little confused.
Okay.
And defensive. So.
The sign you said she gave is one of the paramilitary?
Correct. Like a paramilitary bow, like a soldier's bow.
Yeah. I would just comment. Yeah, I would just more or less comment. I believe more or less that's a sign that the paramilitary use. Sorry if I'm mistaken. What does he say next? Now, out of game, our laws state that nobody that is settling here may openly worship Lady Arabelle, but one understands also the need for trade. So if traders can't come here, because they worship her or whatever, could impact us greatly. So as long as they're not staying too long, they're technically not in breach of the law. As they're written, am I correct?
You're asking Rayron that?
No, he's asking you.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry, I'm waiting for him to hear me again.
But yes.
So my apologies, Jake. Were you asking me that in game, out of game, Rayron that? Who were you asking?
I was asking more or less you out of game because I would know obviously our laws.
So your law is nobody living in your lands, nobody that is under your rulership can worship. As to whether or not those people are like willingly knowing trespassing on your lands, all that's entirely up to you. These are your laws, buddy.
Yeah. So okay, he takes that in at the moment, and he actually steps back because he has some plans. And he will more or less look to Rayron and say, find a fish?
Nothing but fish, actually. And he like closes the book, like.
I would say because like not much time has passed. You're not done surveying the area quite just yet, so you don't get that ping of magic that we're going to see in a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because barely anything's been said yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so he just does what he was doing before, and after saying that, kind of just more or less steps to the background and maybe looks at some fish himself.
So when you guys do that, find fish, nothing but fish, she kind of watches the strange interaction and says, we do trade more than just fish. It's just fish seems to be what your people need the most at the moment. So we have chosen to bring more of that than anything else. We do have other supplies, of course, as well. And you're welcome to check out those. Did you still want the recipe that you were asking for? Because I do have an old family one. And this is probably around when you would notice a ping of magic over on someone else and kind of focusing on it. You can't discern what the aura is. It's on one of the other traders. You know, it happens to be a dude that's over there, and he's got some thing of magic kind of like inside of a belt pouch.
Like Rayron's like eyes flick distractedly over in that direction, and then he's like he closes the book and like smiles at her pleasantly and is like, yes, I think perhaps I would like that. What would you recommend to go with it? Is there a sort of fish that you use specifically?
She nods, and she's gonna more or less like grab a couple of ingredients and whatnot. She says, "There's a funny little trader that exists just north of my home that we occasionally, very rarely, but occasionally we'll do a little trading with them. And actually, we learned a beautiful recipe pertaining to this special type of herb and this type of weed that they grow. Anyways, here, let me just..." And she like grabs her own like little ledger, like little quill. She tears a page off the back of it, and she starts scrawling down the recipe. It takes probably about 3 or 4 minutes for her to write down the ingredients and the recipe and so on and so forth from her memory. And she takes the whole thing, blows on it to make sure, like kind of waves it to make sure it's dry. Then she like folds it up, so there's a bit of a crease with like a little bit of like other supplies, like a small amount of stuff. You imagine the supplies that she's giving to you aren't necessarily what it was that they brought to trade, but probably out of her own personal stock of things that she brought for like food on the road. And she puts it together and she hands it to you and says, please minds that these aren't exact proportions. I don't measure when I cook. It's mom's recipe, you know? And she hands you the like notes with the ingredients and says, I can assure you though that any one of your cooks would know how to prepare this, and it is a fine meal. I do suggest though that it is generally better if you intend to do more work in the evening, as it gives you a little bit of a pep, as opposed to nodding you off into a slumber.
I see. It sounds very pleasant. I do tend to have to work in evenings. What would I estimate the value of what she's given me as?
I mean, you're already purchasing the fish through your people, right? And so it's kind of covered there. You imagine like a few silver. I mean, you don't know how rare these goods are. If you want it to be like super exorbitant, a couple gold.
I mean, I don't know what a few silver is. I'm imagining like 3 silver.
Yeah, 3.
He'd hand over 3 silver.
Sure.
Like not as like a direct necessary payment. He'd just be like, "Thank you," and pass the 3 silver.
Mm-hmm. So she takes it and says, when you hand over the silver, she says, "Please, it's not necessary at all."
Fair trade is rewarded in this city.
I won't.
And
refuse
as
the
you
Lord.
say, information is not always free.
She says thank you. Says I won't refuse the Lord, and takes it the second time that you. And so she takes it and puts it with the rest of her supplies.
What else are they selling? Particularly the trader who has a magic item in their belt pouch.
So,
He would drift his way over there.
again, we're talking like 85% of the supplies that they brought for this particular, like, of the things they carted over with them were fish. But you also see there's other things too. Like they actually have quality leathers that they have here. They even have like quality like leather like bracers and like belts and sheaths and stuff like that. But they didn't go so far as to bring any form of armor or anything like that. Sorry, like weapons. My apologies. But you can definitely tell like the quality of leather that they produce is very, very high. You can even see like now that you're like noticing that and looking them over and kind of thinking about them, you're like, huh. The clothing that they're wearing is loose fitting and kind of like giving like the trained eye of somebody who's military and whatnot yourself. You realize that underneath all of their clothing, every one of them seems to be wearing some really quality quilted armor. You know what I mean?
Which is what Edric said.
Mm-hmm. Which is both warm in the in the winter, as well as very protective in a fight. And then kind of like looking even at just at the form of the weapons that they happen to carry on their person, because it's just, it's as a sign of peace. They do, binds their weapons to the sheath so that you can see that they're unbroken. It would take like an extra moment to pull a thing. Not a law of your land, but something that they choose to do because they're trying to come peacefully from another lands for trading. But you can see that you can't see the blades, but you can see like the hilt, the pommel. Everything seems to be crafted well. Like there clearly is some sort of skilled craftsmen, if not several, that make these weapons for the people that are coming here and trading. And kind of like that, you notice like these aspects of them, but you also notice that the all the goods that they're bringing are also well crafted. But they're not farmers, like really. They don't have like a ton of like crops or anything like that they're bringing. It's just trade goods, well-made horseshoes, things like that. Hi, Doxy.
Hey, dogs. Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing of particular interest, he would sort of wander his way through. They've piqued his curiosity, but not enough to be worth significant quantities of time.
Okay. And so nothing really stands out there. You just notice that, like I said, there's that item inside of his belt pouch on his side. Nothing else really jumps out at you about these people, aside from, of course, one's trained eye looking about, kind of like catching glimpses here and there, staring like a creeper, like he's trying to do. Does notice that every one of them seems to be wearing a sigil of Lady Aravel underneath their cloak on like a pendant around their neck. Literally every one of them. If he catches a glimpse, he notices it. The other person that happens to be in this market that is noteworthy eventually comes over and walks up to you and talks and says, "Hey there. Word has it you two be rulers of these lands. Yes?"
Is this the hobgoblin?
Correct.
Yes, and your word has it that you make the best barrels in the land.
Well, I do come from a long, long line of barrel makers. They do make good barrels. Barrels happens to be my forte. I am good at making barrels. But I'm not only good at making barrels. It's just what I'm really good at doing. What else I do
Can I have
good?
sense motive on how good he is at making barrels?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. You believe that he's confident in his ability to make barrels.
Nice.
He's like, but not only do I make barrels, I'm good at wood. I can craft all sorts of things with wood. I'm good at it. But better than crafting wood and making barrels, as I know how to keep a shop running itself well. I know shops. I know running stuff. I do. When a worker steps out of line, you put him back in line. It's how Mom did it to me. It's how Dad did it to Mom. It's how Grandma did it to Dad. It's how Grandpa did it to Grandma. And so on.
I see. Well, you must be doing well then with all these.
No, not really. No. Doing terrible.
I see. Have you considered an alternative line of work?
To making barrels?
Yes.
Kinda. I used to make barrels with the family, but let's just say things didn't work out with the family. So I took to traveling and making barrels. But I don't like traveling. It's not fun. It's not fun traveling.
No?
No.
Do you worship any gods? It's not a trick question.
No, I'm trying to decide my answer.
I mean, if it takes you this long to decide, probably no.
Let's go with that one then. I'd say no.
Have you considered settling here? I'm sorry, what was your name?
I don't know where here is. It looks like just a bunch of trees and buildings.
Yes.
Rut rock.
There
He
are
says, like,
a
not
lot of
looking at
trees
you.
here. You know what trees yield?
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
Yes.
You need barrels.
I meant wood, but yes, ultimately barrels.
You hear that? He says, calling over to like the people more or less right next to him, like the group of Perrin that happen to be next to him. He's like, they're trying to take me. Trying to take me from you, group. They're offering more. And they kind of like look up at him. Don't really say anything or pay attention for that much longer, and then kind of like look away.
What was your name for me?
It was Red Rock, I told you.
Red Rock.
No, Ret Rock.
Ret Rock.
Well, I mean, sure. Ret Rock.
Red Rock, okay.
Ret Rock, yeah, Ret Rock.
I
Red
get
Rock.
you. Yeah, Red Rock.
Yeah, Glugmug. Ret Rock, Glugmug.
Red Rock Glugmug.
That's right.
Mind if I call you Ret?
Sure. I'll call you Cho.
No.
One starts laughing.
No, you would. My name is Rayron.
Oh, I thought it was Chosen.
No, that's my title. The same way that you're a barrel maker, I don't simply call you Barrel.
All right.
What else is it that you do with wood?
Oh, I can craft buildings. I can craft planks. I can do stuff. But I sell it really well.
I can tell, actually.
But most importantly, when someone steps out of line, get them back in line.
Now, I presume this is figurative.
What's that word mean?
You find your worker that's out of line and you decide on an appropriate response to what it is that's gone wrong. You don't simply slap them.
I mean, sometimes you need a slap.
Sometimes they might need an ale.
Like Glug?
Yeah, like a glug mug.
Yeah. Have you had Glug Mug Ale?
I've never had glug mug ale. I thought you were barrel makers.
What do you think we put in the barrels?
Well, I thought you sold the barrels.
Well, we do sell the barrels. What do you think we put
But
in?
you sell the barrels with glug mug.
Well, I mean, we don't make Glugmug Ale. I mean, that's my cousin's, but yeah.
Right, but you're still called Glugmugs.
Well, yeah, it's a family name.
Oh, I see. Okay. Have you got any Glugmug Ale?
We drank it all back in Vigil.
Do you know how to make ale?
No, I make barrels.
Yes, but you said your cousins knew how to make ale. Have you never spent any time with them?
I spend time with my cousins, and they do know how to make ale.
I see. Well, Red Rock. What will you do with your life then, if you don't like traveling?
Probably make barrels.
Have you considered making barrels here? You know, we have several sawmills providing the highest quality wood.
I thought I smelled dust.
Indeed. The finest quality sawdust.
I mean, sawdust is really important when mixing it with, mixing adhesive. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, for resins.
Yeah. Because, we also make cork.
You also make cork. Well, Red Rock, you are a man of many talents.
Well, yeah, Glugmug.
And
One
Glugmug,
elbows you and he's like, I like this guy. That's all he said, that's all he'll say.
Red Rock, I'm struggling to get a read off what it is you want, really. I understand that you make barrels, but is that what you really want?
Honestly, I want a nap. Been walking too much, too long. Walking sucks.
And
Making
you're
barrels
not
sucks
doing
too, but,
you're not doing very well at the moment, you say, in your business.
I don't have a business. I just make barrels.
Which is a business.
No, but I make barrels for other people. I don't make barrels for me. I'm gonna shop.
Yes.
Can't sell.
Yes,
them.
that's what a business is.
I'm more of a laborer than a businessman. Right now.
Okay. Let's not argue over the details. You want somewhere to nap, yes?
I mean, yeah.
But you need somewhere cheap because you're a laborer.
I don't want to be a laborer. I want to be a businessman.
Right, but you need somewhere to stay while you're getting on your feet.
Unfortunately, I'm already on my feet.
You need somewhere to stay while you're getting off your feet.
Well, yeah. You don't really want to move off your feet.
We happen to have a beautiful set of luxury, affordable housing being built just down the way.
Really?
It's extremely efficient on space, and therefore comes with reasonably low costs. Perhaps you could inquire as to staying there. I'm sure that we'd have a great need for your barrels. As you say, you know how to make cork, which in itself is a very useful skill when dealing with wood. And we deal with a lot of wood, he motions to the trees.
He looks about and is like, these are good trees. I know trees. I know a lot about trees, actually. There's all different types of trees. There's trees that are good for planking, trees that are good for building, trees that are good for weapons, trees that are good for avoiding. There's all sorts of trees. There's a big forest.
In fact, if you're good with trees and wood, and you can fashion all sorts of objects from it, would I be correct in perhaps we could call you a bit of a carpenter on the side?
Carpenter.
Yeah, you deal with wood, you work with wood.
Well,
what I'm saying, Red Rock, is we actually have need of someone to labour for now, in a labourer's role for a fair wage, in our smithy. You see, various weapons require various amounts of wood of fine and appropriate quality.
you want me to run a smithy? I mean,
No, I want
don't
you to
really
work.
know how to make
I want you to work in a smithy, Red Rock. Consider it a trial. Currently, our smithy makes no profit. But I foresee that you being the shrewd...
the smith.
Exactly,
they
but
make that stuff.
don't do that because the smith might hit you back a lot harder with a mace. She's quite a fierce lady. I'm sure you'll get on just fine. She's out of town at the moment. I tell you what, Red Rock, head on down to the tenements, get yourself settled in, and go start showing up at the smithy from a month from now. And problem solved, I think.
So, I'm going to go to the tenements, get
He'll
settled,
hand over a gold piece.
and then
You're going
I
to
didn't
go
even do work. Hey, they do pay better.
You're going to go to the tenements and get yourself settled in, and you're going to prepare for work. It would be
Not
worth
so
speaking.
fast, Rayron. Redrock, would you join me for dinner tonight in the castle? And maybe you could stay with us the night.
Not sure it's appropriate to invite every commoner into the castle.
No, but this conversation you're having is fascinating, and I'd love to hear it over dinner.
Maybe you could just have dinner in one of the local taverns?
I'm not going to one of those taverns.
Why not? They're rather pleasant.
Because we-
They might have some glugmug. You wouldn't want to
We get-
offend Mr. Glugmug here.
We get better food at the castle.
Yes, I know. It's expensive.
He looks.
Anyway, Glugmug,
He says, "I'd love to go have dinner at the castle. They have a castle, and I'm eating there. Way better than your place."
Okay. You know what, Juan? You take Red Rock.
No. This is great. This is great, Ray, because you see, after we have dinner at the castle, you can tell me who Tenement is and where to find them. This is great. And so he goes over and like grabs up his supplies. He's got this like big oversized sack with all these different like bits and baubles.
He doesn't have a
on
big
it.
barrel to go on his back? Come on.
as he grabs his stuff to
It's like a half barrel.
one says, Redrock, just follow Rayron back. I'll meet you there. And he just turns and walks off.
Okay, yeah. All right.
You hear Rayron mutter something. It begins with a C and ends in a T.
So he looks at
Cute.
he
Oh,
look-
no. Jeez.
It's convenient. So, anyways, you he looks at you and goes, "So if I'm Rhett and you're Ray, is he what?"
Is one.
What?
You can't really, you can't shorten it anymore. It's a single syllable. Syllable is a noise.
Thinks about it for a second. So you can't shorten a syll, so he has to be one. Can't shorten a syll; they're already short. Kind of thinks to himself, and you know, gets everything kind of like packed up or whatever, and gets ready to start like, you know, moving back to the castle with you guys. Trade amongst the peoples that continue their trading proceeds. These seem to be the people that you're making a lot of money off of, and so you squint your eyes as you see them there. One, you're not
No, I
willing,
don't.
not willing
No,
to,
I don't.
not willing to let them live here, but you're willing to take their money, right?
I'm going straight to the shrine and finding my girl Tally. No, not Tally. What's her name?
Nelly.
Nelly. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I have a job for Nelly.
Yes.
One's already getting confused, and his harem's only got two ladies in it.
Yeah, so one would find Nelly at the shrine whenever
It's
she's
sad.
there. He waits a while.
I get confused with my harem, and she's one person.
You just can't do names.
I just can't do names. So I'm sorry. So you go up to, and she's like, "Yeah."
Nelly, I have a job for you.
By Brogar's will.
Yes, quite. We have some guests in town. Worshippers of Lady Erebel, the traders. And
Her eyes
you know,
just like turn red.
you know our position on Lady Erebel here in Curse.
Absolutely. And if they're traitors, should they not be moved into the prison?
No, because as the laws specifically state, they're not settling, although there's something off about this. We are making some good deals out of it. However, I don't trust them. And I would like you to immerse yourself amongst where they are. Listen, watch, and see if they're spreading the faith in any way. Talk to them if you're confident in your ability. But I would like a report on what they're doing here.
So traitors, not traitors. Ah, okay. And what you're saying is you want me to act as a bit of a spy by Vrogar's will. Pretend as though I am of my former faith. Am I to follow them back to where it is that they trade from?
If they're staying in town, maybe stay, I don't know, near them, with them. I'll leave that up to you.
Not a problem. She pulls off of her robe, and immediately underneath you see that she's been hiding a Lady Arabelle dark eye robe the whole time, and she's got like a sword, and she's like, "Ha! I never gave up the faith." No, so this would be an easy time, tricking them. So she just says, "Of course, am I to look as though I'm somebody trying to? You know what? I think I have the perfect idea of how it is I'm supposed to do this."
Yes, well, I'll leave the details up to you. And then he places his hand on her shoulder and casts Bless.
She's
and
like,
just says, by Vrogar's will, you will succeed in the task.
she's like, I have the perfect idea, and I'm here on the other end, like, no, she doesn't. Just be normal.
And so the of course, with that we can pull in and end the session. She's going to go and be a little spy against these persons from a place apparently called Vigil. You have a guy named Rhett to hang out with Ray and what. And you can have dinner with him soon. And of course, everybody's a bit concerned because they're still trying to find Valorant and trying to pretend like everything's normal. I swear it, everything.
Look, we found another idiot. We don't need him.
They're going to see who actually has the higher intelligence. Oh, God.
I think he has a higher intelligence. Oh, no, maybe he doesn't. Is he Charisma caster?
Who's Val?
Aaron.
Val's intelligence is... No, Val's smarter.
What is he, a +4?
Val's a 14, so a +2.
Oh, I meant the me, but okay.
Gotcha. So
Obviously, anyone's more in...
Yeah. So anyways, why don't we kind of end it with that one, everything that had transpired. Apparently some sort of event is going to be happening this upcoming month anyways, because, you rolled on that 75, and we'll see how things play out next. So, I suppose that's it. Yeah, Neil, where are you going to be in 52 minutes?
Hey, guys, I'm Neil. I have been feeling a little bit rough this past week. Thanks for sending me your energy, guys. You can find me on the Discord at Naghite, on Twitter at Naghite_, or in 52 minutes on twitch.tv/Olirant, where I am playing in a D&D 5e Yavaskir campaign, where I play as the charismatic OP. I play as Vale, who is a sun elf.
Fuck Vale. And Jake.
Scott wishes he did.
Jake, I have not said anything anywhere, anyhow, anyway, whatsoever. So I suppose, though it doesn't start this week, it's in a few, would you like to make the little announcement?
Yeah,
baby. You too.
Well, not another one.
One's enough. Ask Jake, one's enough.
Soon, not the next session, but the one after, I will be joining the Dark Sun cast over on Lost Initiative. So excited about that. It'll be a lot of fun.
Our very own Jake. He's been a caterpillar. He's gone through his cocoon. He's about to spread his beautiful butterfly wings and flutter on over to Dark Sun, where he will be scorched horribly.
Just so you know, the cocoon is literally being my little spoon.
He's probably taller than you, right? He's not a midget.
I don't know, Jake. How tall are you?
Let's not talk about that. So I'll tell you, Scott is taller than me.
Oh, it hurts. But like, it's all wrong down under, right? So you're probably taller.
Listen.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Listen.
You're being crushed because of all the gravity
the
down
tallest one in both the communities, both false pretenses and lost initiative. Tallest, even taller than Wade. So moving on, and you know where I am. You know how to find me, including tonight over on Lost Initiative. Don't forget about Friday nights. These past 2 sessions have been fucking crazy on Aurorum. I hope everybody's enjoying them. Let's see how this kingdom continues to move on. They're actually doing pretty well right now, so they were able to stabilize. All right. Anyways, I gotta go pee. We'll catch you all later. Bye.